Look at verse 9. How to imitate evil. If you want to imitate evil, put yourself first. That's what Diotrephes did. John writes, I have written something to the church, but Diotrephes, who likes to put himself first, does not acknowledge our authority. So there's the first thing. You want to be evil? You want to imitate evil? Put yourself first. When John says, I have written something to the church, do not think that he's talking about the letter that we call 1 John, because that was written to a whole church. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about a letter that does not exist now to us, that didn't pass on. And some commentators will tell you, John wrote a letter to the church that we would hope would survive to this day, but in the providence of God, it didn't. And most likely why it didn't survive is because this man, Diotrephes, intercepted the letter and had it destroyed. I wrote something to the church, but Diotrephes, who likes to put himself first, does not acknowledge our authority. So there's the first thing. How to imitate evil? Put yourself first. This is literally the opposite of what the Apostle Paul commands of us as Christians in Philippians chapter 2. That's just one example, where he says, consider others more significant than yourselves. That's a command. Consider others more important than yourself. Jesus said, if you seek to be first, you're going to be last. If you're okay with being last, you'll be first. We don't seek to put ourselves first. And this word first, it really just means Diotrephes likes to be preeminent. If we were to just make that into one word. It's just one word in the Greek, but then we have to translate it into English. And we're like, how do we communicate that word? Diotrephes likes to put himself first. That's acceptable. But it's really the same root word that the Apostle Paul uses in Colossians 1 when he's talking about the Lord Jesus. Do you remember Colossians 1, 16 through 21, where the Apostle Paul says, Jesus is the head of everything, the head of the church, so that in everything he might be preeminent. Preeminent means of first place, of first rank, of first importance, on the throne. So Diotrephes is said to be, I think by verse 11, he's said to be doing evil things. And the first thing that's noted is that he seeks to be of first place, of first importance. He alone is wise. He is in control. He is in authority, and even rejects the authority of John, who is an apostle. Colossians 1:18. And Jesus is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in everything he might be preeminent. And yet Diotrephes wants to be preeminent. So you want to imitate evil? Be like Diotrephes. Put yourself first. Consider yourself, your wants, your desires, your thoughts more important than others. John learned this the hard way. We see in Mark chapter 10, the Apostle John and his brother doing close to the same thing. They come to the Lord Jesus, and Mark writes in Mark 10, 41 through 45, right after James and John asked to be at Jesus' right hand in his kingdom. We want the places of significance and priority in your kingdom. We want to be first among all men. After the 10 heard them ask for that, or really they got their mom to go and ask for that. That's even worse. You want to ask something that you know it's like, I don't know if I should ask this. You get someone else to go ask for you. They get their mom to go and ask Jesus. And Mark writes, when the 10 heard it, the other 10 apostles, they began to be indignant at James and John. And Jesus called them to him and said to them, you know that those who are considered rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them. They have authority, and they lord their authority over people. and their great ones exercise authority over them. But it shall not be so among you. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant. And whoever would be first among you must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus did not seek his good above everyone else's when he came to the earth. He said, you want to look at what it looks like to be great? Look at me. I came to the earth to suffer in place of sinners, to buy them back, to ransom many. You want to be first? Be a slave to all. Do you want to imitate evil? Be like Diotrephes. Put yourself first and try to act humble about it by calling it self-care. That doesn't blip on your radar? Well, good. I would hope it wouldn't. But this is a huge thing within evangelical circles right now. Christian books are being written about self-care. Saying you really got to take care of number one. You got to take care of yourself first. You got to make sure that you're caring for yourself. And it's not talking about eating healthy or exercising spiritual disciplines like prayer and the Word. No. It's talking about, you know what? Sometimes you just got to tell everyone else, I just need to take care of myself. You got to get the toxic people out of your life. When the Lord Jesus says, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, follow me. And yet we have Christian best-selling books talking about #self-care. That is putting yourself first. What it looks like to be evil is what is meant by this self-care movement. If you're going to imitate evil, the best way to do that is by making sure you're first priority. And if you're going to do that, since the Scriptures condemn that, the next thing you're going to have to do to imitate evil and to try to put yourself first is to do exactly what Diotrephes did and refuse to acknowledge the authority of the Bible.